Today we're cooking my homemade barbecue sauce, perfect for roasted cauliflower, a spread in your plant-based burger, or for a barbecue portobello steak. Perfect as a dip for potatoes. Use 3 onions for this recipe. Peel them and cut them up roughly. It doesn't really matter the size of the bits because we're gonna blend the sauce in the end. Here's a trick for when you have to transfer your cutted ingredients into a bowl or a plate. Of course, you could lift the cutting board, but it can be quite messy. So I like to pull the cutting board over the edge of the countertop with a couple of inches, and I place my plate or bowl underneath, and I can scrape my ingredients directly into the bowl. Then I use 4 garlics, and I cut them roughly, and again the size of the cut doesn't really matter because we're gonna blend the sauce, but it's important that they are not too small. If you mince the garlic, they will often burn to the bottom of the pan and get really black, and this will give the sauce a kind of burnt taste. And that's not what we're looking for. The garlic will add spiciness to the final sauce, but it's also an umami ingredient. Umami is often described as the 5th taste, and it has this savory, deeply satisfying flavor, like the yumminess. When we're cooking fat-free, it's really important to have umami in the final dish, because this satisfying taste will make sure that you will feel full, and having a tasty meal will help you decrease your craving for fats. The next ingredient is 1 chili pepper. I choose a variety called Fire Flame. It's like semi-strong, semi-spicy, but if you're into spicy food, of course you can choose another variety. I remove the seeds from the chili pepper because I find it hard to adjust the spiciness when the seeds go in the dish. I cut across the connecting points, and then I scoop my knife under the brim with the seeds. This way I can easily remove the rest of the brim. Then I cut the chili pepper into rough pieces. 5 oil-free sun-dried tomatoes. When you buy sun-dried tomatoes, make sure they don't contain sodium. It's a really common ingredient in sun-dried tomatoes that don't contain oil. Actually, my sun-dried tomatoes, they have a little bit of sodium in them because I haven't been able to find some organic sun-dried tomatoes without sodium. If you have found some, please comment below because I would really like to know where you can buy sun-dried tomatoes without sodium. I cut the sun-dried tomatoes roughly, and I add them to the plate with the onion, garlic, and chili. I like to place the ingredients in separate bowls for when they go into the sauce, because at some point of the recipe things move quite fast, and it's really convenient to have everything separate in bowls for when they have to go into the pan. Next up is the dry spices. The first one is ancho chili. It's a dried chili pepper from Mexico. To use both fresh chili and dried chili and different varieties of chili adds the complexity to the sauce, and it gives us this kind of yumminess that we're aiming for. The ancho chili is quite big, and we're going to use about 1 inch. I cut it with the scissor. That's what I find is most easy, but of course you can use a knife as well. I store the rest of the chili in an airtight bag in my kitchen cabinet, and I find that the chili can actually store for quite a while. This is actually a couple of years old. Then I measure the dry ingredients, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika to give the barbecue sauce this smoky undertone that's so significant for barbecue sauce. If you don't have smoked paprika, just use an ordinary paprika. The final sauce will still be really yummy. I use a mild paprika, but a hot paprika works too if you're in for a really hot sauce. 1 teaspoon of cumin. To make precise measurement, you can scrape the top of the measurement spoon with the handle of another spoon or the backside of a knife. Now you begin to see why I'm wearing an apron. I'm quite messy when it comes to kitchen work. The final dry spices is a pinch of cinnamon and a pinch of ginger. And now for the wet ingredients. I use 1 to 2 tablespoons of vegetable broth. If you buy a vegetable broth, it's hard to get one without gluten, oils, corn, yeast, salt, added aromas, and sugar. I make my own clean vegetable broth without any of these additives. I store it in the freezer in ice cube trays, so I always have a block of vegetable broth whenever I need it. Please comment below if you want me to share this recipe. If you can't find a good vegetable broth, it's perfectly fine to just use filtered water for this recipe. Vinegar is a common ingredient in barbecue sauce. It gives the sauce this kind of sharp, tangy edge to cut through the sweetness of the sauce. But when we're living the medical medium lifestyle, we're not using vinegar. Instead of vinegar, I use pomegranate molasses. It's made of 100% pomegranate juice that's been cooked to this thick paste, and it have a very similar taste to vinegar. You can use this to substitute vinegar in all your recipes. I use the same spoon as I used for the paprika without rinsing it, because it will all be blended in the pan in the end. The pomegranate molasses is sticky and it's difficult to get all of it out of the measurement spoon, so I place the spoon in the 2 cups of water I will use later on. Then I use 2 tablespoons of raw honey. If you're strict vegan, you can use maple syrup instead of it. The sweetness of the honey will balance out the other strong flavors in the sauce. 5 dry apricots. I cut them roughly. It's important that you use the brown apricots because the orange apricots are actually treated with sulfur. Now we have all the ingredients ready in separate balls in the order that it will go into the recipe. I use a pan with a high edge, so I have a big surface to spread out my ingredients, and still there's plenty of room to make a double or triple recipe. Anthony recommends that we use ceramic coating for our pots and pans. It's the most healthy coating you can get for your pans. This is my favorite pan. It's a WMF pan. It's got a ceramic coating that the company calls Dorado, and it's kind of a double ceramic coating. And I just love this kind of coating. Even when I water fry, my ingredients won't get burned to the bottom of the pan, and it's so easy to clean. I have other ceramic coating pans that I bought at the same time from other brands, and I must just say that they are hard to clean down, and they're very scratchy after 4 years, and actually this is the only one I use now. I would wish that this company WMF would make pots with this ceramic coating. It would just be perfect for my kitchen. Let's start cooking our barbecue sauce. I set the heat to medium-high, and I add a splash of filtered water, and I tip the pan so I cover the surface. First I add onion, garlic, chopped chili peppers and sun-dried tomatoes to the pan. Then I add a lid for 1 to 2 minutes to just increase the heat. You will need 2 cups of water to water fry. Have it ready by the side of the pan before you begin cooking. This way you won't need to refill during cooking and the sauce might burn. I really like this measurement cup because you can see from the top how much you are filling it, and don't need to turn your head and look on the side and see how much there's in the cup. When onions are cooked, they become an umami ingredient that add complexity and richness to any dish. In our case, it makes the barbecue sauce really savory. Sauté for a bit until the onions and garlic caramelize. You would want the water to evaporate and the ingredients begins to stick to the bottom of the pan. When the sticky texture in the bottom of the pan forms so quickly that you cannot scrape it away with your spatula fast enough, it's time to deglaze the pan. You deglaze the pan by adding a splash of filtered water. And now you can easily remove the sticky texture in the bottom of the pan. The ceramic coating of my pan really serves its worth. Look how easy it is to remove the sticky texture. After deglazing, you want to spread the ingredients to cover the bottom of the pan and wait for 1 or 2 minutes until it starts to caramelize again. Repeat the deglazing process 2 to 3 times. This process deepens the flavors of the sauce and is really worth the time you spend on it. During the process, the ingredients will reduce its volume to about half the size. Now you can really see how the onion and the tomato stick to the bottom of the pan. Let's repeat the deglazing 1 more time and then add the spices. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe. There's plenty more medical medium recipes to come. Now the spices go in. The paprika needs to be heated to develop its flavor to the fullest. So I mix it up with the ingredients and fry it without water for 1 or 2 minutes. If the spices stuck to the bottom of the pan, you just deglaze with a splash of filtered water. If some of the spices are stuck to the bowl, simply rinse the bowl while deglazing. Now lower the heat to medium-low and add the wet ingredients. Now we want to mix everything really well. As I taught my children, it's mixed really well when it has the same color all over. Add 2 cups of water and put a lid on to keep the heat in the pan. Now we want the sauce to simmer for 30 to 60 minutes. A longer simmer will add depth and nuances for the flavor in the sauce. But if you're in a hurry, 10 minutes of simmering can still make a really yummy barbecue sauce. Now it's time to blend the sauce. We want the texture of our barbecue sauce to be thick and rich to cling to the vegetables and provide a satisfying hearty mouthfeel. You can use an immersion blender directly into the pan, but be careful not to scratch the pan because you don't want to eat the coating. I find it helpful to tip the pan and blend in the corner of the side and the bottom of the pan. This kind of makes the texture you're blending move around on its own, and it makes the blending easier. I prefer to let the sauce cool down and blend it in my Vitamix blender. This makes a completely smooth sauce in just seconds. If you blend the sauce while it's still a little bit hot, make sure to loosen the middle part of the blender lid and let some air get out. Otherwise, the hot air can create overpressure in the blender with the risk of you getting splattered with hot sauce. And we wouldn't want that. After blending, you transfer the sauce back to the pan. Set the heat to medium-low and let it simmer for about 30 minutes without a lid on. We want some of the liquid in the sauce to evaporate so the sauce gets even thicker. If you like your sauce really thick, you just let it simmer for a bit longer. Don't forget to stir the sauce now and then to prevent it burning on the bottom of the pan. Now our sauce has simmered and we're ready to give it a taste. If you think the sauce is too tangy, you can add some honey or maple syrup. And if you think it's too sweet and need a little more edge, try to add a bit of pomegranate molasses. When we're doing the final adjustment of the taste, it's very important only to add a little bit of the honey or the pomegranate syrup. The reason is you don't want it to get over tangy or over sweet. So add a little bit and make sure to mix it in really thoroughly. Taste the sauce again and decide if it needs a little more or if it's okay as it is. Repeat this process until the taste will make you smile. I don't think this sauce needs salt or pepper, but if it's to your liking, it's now you should add it. I made the recipes double up 6 times. This is a really thick sauce. I didn't use a lot of water when I blended it because I wanted to take up as little room in the freezer as possible because I have a lot of sauces and prep meals in my freezer. So I want to be a little economic with the space. You might think this is a lot, but this is actually a recipe that I use for myself, but I also use it for my family. So whenever they have a barbecue, this is the recipe I use. Before I put it in the freezer, I label it up with masking tape. For years, I was searching for a pen to write directly on the lids, but when I discovered masking tape, there was no use for a special pen. It's easy to write on and it's so easy to remove when the container is empty. I always put on the label that it's a medical medium recipe because my family, they eat a standard diet and we share the same freezer, and this is to avoid any mix-up. And for my own sake, I always put on the label if it contains salt or fat. The barbecue sauce can be stored in your refrigerator for up to a week, depending on how clean your glass was before you added the barbecue sauce. In the freezer, it can last for a couple of months, but I bet you have eaten it all before. As I said in the beginning, this barbecue sauce is really great for barbecue cauliflower. You simply break the cauliflower into florets by a knife or by hand, and you cover them with barbecue sauce in a bowl. After that, you can fry them in the air fryer, or you can spread them in a baking sheet and cook them in the oven. It will take about 20 minutes. If you're into tasty fat-free cooking, watch this video next with my all-purpose white sauce. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit that notification bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. There's plenty more medical medium recipes to come. Until next time, take care.